Once upon a time, in a small village nestled between emerald hills, there stood a cozy little cottage made of warm, honey-colored bricks. Its door creaked softly with every gentle breeze, and the air around it was filled with the sweet fragrance of blooming wildflowers. Inside this comforting abode lived Mr. Cobbler, a humble shoemaker who spent his days diligently working at his worn wooden bench. Mr. Cobbler was a diligent man, always found in his simple, time-worn attire, a brown shirt with frayed sleeves and a leather apron stained by years of dedicated labor. His hands, though calloused, moved with precision as he crafted shoes from worn pieces of leather. Alas, the little shop had grown quiet, and Mr. Cobbler worried about having more customers. But not all was sorrowful in the cottage, for Mr. Cobbler's wife, Mrs. Cobbler, was a beacon of warmth and kindness. She wore a soft blue dress adorned with tiny embroidered flowers, and her smile could light up the darkest room. With a gentle touch, she reassured her husband, "Do not worry, dear, for tomorrow will be a brighter day." As night fell, Mr. Cobbler worked with a heavy heart, crafting the last pair of shoes from the dwindling leather he had. He murmured a hopeful prayer as he placed the unfinished pair on the bench before retiring to bed, with only the ticking clock breaking the nighttime silence. When the clock struck midnight, something magical transpired. A shimmering glow filled the little workshop, and two tiny figures appeared, the elves. They were no larger than a loaf of bread, and dressed in vibrant outfits made of leaves and moss. Their nimble fingers moved with such speed that time seemed to pause as they stitched and sewed, transforming leather into a masterpiece. The first elf had silver hair like starlight, his eyes dancing with mischief. His companion, with bouncing dark curls and rosy cheeks, wore a tunic adorned with colorful flowers. Together, they weaved their enchanting magic, leaving a perfect pair of shoes where only scraps had been. As dawn kissed the cottage with golden light, Mr. Cobbler awoke surprised to see the shoes polished and perfect. Before long, a noblewoman, radiant in her glimmering gown, purchased the shoes for a generous sum of gold. Grateful yet puzzled, Mr. Cobbler whispered, "Who could have helped me?" That night, Mr. Cobbler and his wife awaited the mysterious helpers, discovering once more the elves at work, their laughter echoing like wind chimes. He left out garments and snacks as thank you gifts, awed by the beautiful shoes they crafted each night. With the elves' aid, the shoemaker's humble shop flourished. Customers flooded in for the exquisite creations, and Mr. Cobbler gained fame as the finest shoemaker in the land, his secret safe with the elves. Touched by the kindness of his magical friends, Mr. Cobbler decided to give back. He crafted miniature shoes for the village children. The joy on their faces filled his heart with warmth. Mr. and Mrs. Cobbler often spoke fondly of their unseen allies, learning the priceless lesson that gestures as simple as kindness and generosity can bring the most magical changes into our lives. And so, in the comfort of their cozy cottage, the Cobblers lived, their lives forever touched by the magic of kindness as the whispers of the elves lingered in their hearts. The end.